Hi, I'm Ashley Borkin, Fellow of the Society of Actuaries. As part of National Volunteer Week, the SOA is highlighting volunteers' contributions to shape and advance the actuarial profession. Joining me today is Michael Niemerg, FSA. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Working from home just like the rest of us, huh?
Yep.
So tell me, when did you start volunteering at the SOA?
Yeah, that's a great question. I probably started around 5 years ago, although it was kind of a slow uptake. So I volunteered for one or two small little things, but it's only been like the last 3 or 4 years that that's really started snowballing into a large amount of volunteering.
Okay, so what prompted your decision to start with your volunteering?
Yeah, so it really came out of desire for personal growth. Around that time when I started volunteering, maybe a few years before that, I made a decision to start doing more predictive analytics and trying to move into a predictive analytics role. And part of that transition, I wanted to make sure that I was really kind of picking everything up that I could from not just data scientists and people like that, but from other actuaries as well. And I thought one of the best ways to do that would be to get involved in the predictive analytics and futurism section.
Perfect. Was there an SOA volunteer who inspired you, and how did that person make a difference?
Yeah. So I think actually one of my earliest memories when I first became an FSA and went to an actual symposium was watching a presentation on predictive analytics and having been pretty uninformed at the time about what that was and what the possibilities were. I thought it was pretty cool and eye-opening. And actually, the presentation was by a joint presentation with Shea Parks and it was with Shea Parks and why am I blanking now?
Because I've asked you, and obviously that's what our brains are supposed to do.
Yeah, it was with Shea Parks and Hans Leida. So they
Oh,
gave a
okay.
really great presentation on predictive analytics. I'm sorry about that, Hans, if you're watching this at home. Um,
Hans is not
they,
very forgettable either. He probably won't
I
remember.
know, right? So at the time, I had no idea who they were, but several years later, I ended up joining Milliman, and so now I've worked with both of them in various capacities through Milliman itself as well. So it's kind of funny how it's a small world like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is definitely one of those professions where you're going to run into a lot of the same people over and over again. You have to be really careful if you burn any bridges. So, was there an instance where you knew through your efforts that you were making a difference, like an aha moment where that came to you?
Yeah, good question. So I don't know if I've ever had like a single aha moment that kind of like changed everything for me. But I think like the biggest, most satisfying moments I've had volunteering is giving talks or presentations or webcasts, anything of that sort, where you're kind of talking on this subject that you're just kind of super passionate about and you're kind of giving it your all. And then once the presentation is over, people kind of come up to you and they're like, oh, well, have you thought about X, Y, and Z? Or, wow, your presentation was really kind of interesting. Could you tell me more about, this sort of thing you talked about and that sort of thing you talked about? And I just really kind of get energized by those because it's really great when you feel really strongly about something, you think it's an important topic, and then people really start engaging with you on that topic and they think it's important as well.
Absolutely. So you talked about how that was energizing to you. How else did it make you feel?
Um, well, like I wanted to do, more volunteering, and that, this actually is worth it. It makes sense to volunteer as much as you can. That it's actually a worthwhile time investment.
So how does being an actuary and volunteering your time make an impact to others?
Yeah, so I would say that at least my personal opinion is actuaries are all required to do a lot of continuing education, and really a lot of that continuing education is put on by volunteers. So it's really a large part of sharing our expertise. And in sharing that expertise, we can all become just a little bit better practitioners. So I really do think it's important that people who have expertise on a topic share it, and obviously that there are people out there who want to learn more about that topic and get that sort of CE credit.
Yeah, absolutely. We always need people who are qualified and willing to speak. So definitely, I appreciate you doing that. Have you given any thought to what you do and how you volunteer and how that impacts the broader society as a whole?
Yeah, I kind of think of it this way. I mean, I think actuaries, we're kind of a little bit back office a lot of times, but I think our jobs matter, and I think insurance is an important function. And really, a lot of CE is not really around doing things the way they've always been done. A lot of it's learning new methods, learning new technologies, things of that nature. So it's all around getting a little bit better so that we can make insurance a little bit better. And since insurance is such an important topic, I think those, even though any individual person might only make a small marginal contribution, when you add up a lot of small things, it becomes something really big and powerful.
Absolutely. So if somebody came up to you right now and they said, I'm thinking about volunteering, what would you say to them? And how would you give them guidance?
Yeah, I would say go ahead and do it. I think one of the things, and I'm as guilty as much as anyone before I volunteered, is thinking that volunteering is going to be this big hassle. It's going to take up all your time, and it's just going to be this big ordeal. So why do it? But in reality, most volunteering through the SOA, it's a pretty minimal, modest commitment. And so the risk of volunteering and something not working out, it's pretty dang small. But the potential upside is really big. You have a chance to go in there, make a difference, and sort of make your mark in the actuarial world.
Absolutely. I know in my experience, I found that really rewarding. So, Mike, on behalf of everybody at the SOA and all the other volunteers, I want to thank you for everything that you have done for us and for everything that you have shared. To everybody out there in the audience, thank you for joining us for all of these activities for SOA Volunteer Week, and thank you for everything that you've done for us.